Hi everyone, I recently picked up this Xbox 360 and the reason I bought it was because it said as is on it, which means typically it means it didn't power on when they received this at the thrift store. But it also was an Elite Xbox and pretty much spotless, but it also came with a hard drive, which is usually missing. So, when I got it home, I noticed that it feels quite a bit lighter than it usually does, and it's missing the warranty label. I also realized that the Torx screws that this uses, I don't actually have the small enough one for, or at least not that I can find immediately. So I may have to worry about this later. That said, I checked this in the store. It doesn't look like it's been opened before. So, warranty seal is still on there. And when I tested this out just to see what kind of problems it had, I got a rather interesting error, which I'll show you. I know this power supply works because it's usually attached to this guy, the Xbox 360 I usually use, and it works just fine. I plug it into this guy, I get a power supply fault almost immediately. Flashes red, or it just shows up red, which means power supply fault. And the only way of clearing that is to unplug it from the mains here to reset it. So I thought I'd pop it open and see what is going on and if we could fix it. So I often work on these in my lap while watching TV. So I have this tool. I picked it up on Amazon a while back. I think it's like $7. And it's pretty helpful for poking out the tabs on the top and bottom. So this whole thing, at least the plastic parts of it, are all press fit together. And if you can see right about there, there's a tab. You just push it in and it pops right out, and you just keep your thumb on it. Actually, the other side popped out already. You just kind of keep going back. So I can never figure out where they are. There's one. These I've found are very brittle and very easy to break, so I wouldn't recommend doing it without a tool. There are a lot of guides online to show you how to do it without a tool. You can probably fit a small screwdriver in there too, I suppose. So right here, there we go. And I got the whole thing out without breaking it. And so the first part here you just have to pull up, but the second part, which is right along here, push in there. Right over the middle, push in there. And then that guy. Okay, there it is. And then there's a hole in there. And just push on that, and out it pops. Alright, so there's that's the easy part about this. The next part you really have to actually have this tool for. You'll see there's kind of like these little prongs, and they fit into these little slots along here. And I found, in the past at least, that if you do this kind of up at an angle like this, it just pops apart. Just push down onto it until it all clicks apart like thus. Making it pretty simple, and of course what they get you is the warranty sticker on the front here. I wish I had my knife with me. There we go. Not to worry about that, because you cannot get these repaired at all anyhow anymore, as far as I know. Alright, so we set that somewhere safe. And I can tell this hasn't been modded by GameStop, because these things are still in place, which is good. So I don't think that's actually a really good mod, honestly, because when you do the bolt mod, they leave out the connection between the heatsink and the chassis, and I think the chassis is a decent amount of heat dissipation. So anyhow, now we just pull. Actually, get the cover off. We just need to pull off these silver screws around. They go all the way down through into plastic below. To get the whole motherboard out, we need to actually pull all these screws out. But this will give us a good start. These are self-tapping too, so you gotta be kind of careful. At least I try to be kind of careful. One more. That's it. Alright, so this will pop off. Oh, right, I need to pull this guy off, and to do that, I just push this out through the hole. Careful not to damage it, obviously. I think this will slide off at this point. Alright. Ooh. I love it when you pull these kinds of things apart and it's like, oh, it's got a power supply problem. What do you think the issue is? This is one of the few times I've ever pulled something apart and it's like, oh, bad capacitors. And you can see how they're venting their goo out the bottom. And I bet you, because that's in line with the power supply connector, which is right there, that's our core issue with this guy. So I'll go get the tool to measure those as well. But at any rate, the motherboard's going to have to come out. So the way I do that is I undo these screws right here. Every single one of them. I don't have to well, I'm going to undo these as well because I'm going to redo the heatsink paste, so I don't have any overheat issues. But I'll do that later. Where am I here? Okay. Yeah, and they have these screws by all the physical connectors, which is, you know, I guess good design. They thought of it somewhat. Incidentally, these machines are actually kind of plagued with all kinds of weird issues, all involving heat. And so there's a good chance that I get this whole thing apart, get the caps replaced, and it still has some sort of overheat problem. And there's also a good chance I don't even have the caps on hand, so I'm going to have to do a part 2 of the video. I do have a ton of caps sitting around. Alright, and then this guy actually connects through onto the PCB on the other side, so it actually needs to come out as well. So, little plastic thing, and then It's either this screwdriver, no, it's the smaller one. And what this is, the on-off switch and wireless module for the game controllers, which I'm going to get a closer look at and see what that is. Because I know it's not Bluetooth. Whatever they used was considerably, I would say, lower tech, but certainly proprietary to the Xbox 360. Okay, I dropped that one on the carpet, that's okay though. And you see it connects to a little connector in the bottom there, it's also proprietary. And the chip, that's a Microsoft Xbox part number, so its chip is also proprietary to the board, so interesting. The other thing too is that, as far as I know, there's no service manuals for these things or data sheets or anything for any of the chips in here, because the idea obviously is to keep all that stuff secret, so that makes it less easy to hack. So. But at this point too, all the screws are now out on the CD-ROM, or the DVD-ROM drive rather. It's October 2007. This metal tape I've never seen before on an Xbox 360. Maybe something that's relatively newer rather. Interesting. And it's got it's obviously based on PC DVD-ROM drive proprietary connector, but SATA, standard SATA plug, which doesn't want to come out. But no 5 1/4 inch rails. So the original Xbox is very clearly a PC part. And then the GPU sits underneath here, and the CPU sits underneath here. And on the more, I would almost say Rev 2 models, which I can't remember the code names for, they have this heat pipe thing, because the overheat issue was primarily in this guy right here. And then this one obviously is just fine. So this is really kind of a workaround sort of thing. And this just pops out. And then these just pop out. And one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to, actually isn't so bad, but you can see how there's a bit of dust caked up on each of the blades, and what I'll do is I'll just clean around those and then reattach the whole thing. And at this point the motherboard will actually pop out. Oh no, I need to remove the screws on the X clamps underneath here. So is this the right tool? Yeah, it is. So we just undo all 8 of these. And the good news is too, by the way, that the tiny machine screws, the black ones that hold the front plate on and these guys on, are all the same, so I can just throw them all in one big pile like I'm doing and not worry. Okay, now there should not be any real resistance to this just coming out. There we go. All right, that's it. So these guys right here are called the X clamps, and the way I'm going to get these out is I'm going to go find a flathead screwdriver and just kind of pry and push until they essentially just pop off, and then the heat sinks will just fall out the board. So, be right back. You can hear my neighbor being really loud. There we go. One. Oh my goodness. There's two, and once you have two of them off there, they kind of just pop apart. Of course, once you have three of them off there, they really kind of come apart. There we go. And then the way those work is they just have a little plastic bit on the bottom, and you see they're spring loaded. And then this guy will just plop right out, and that's the. You can see actually that this heatsink compound paste is very dry. That's the CPU, and it says on the chip die Microsoft X CPU CA01 main Taiwan. So of course when the heatsink paste becomes, you know, what's funny though is that heatsink has almost no dust in it whatsoever. The heatsink paste becomes dry, it acts like an insulator and just causes these to overheat. That's normal because even though it doesn't look like it and it is a newer game machine, this thing is 10 years old now. It's I'm not sure what vintage machine has to be considered retro, but it's certainly getting there. Okay. I know what I said is probably kind of blasphemous. Okay, it's not coming at all. There we go. I bet you there's some special tool for doing this at the repair techs that actually work for whoever repaired these, if they repaired them. Here's one. And I have a feeling that once this does gain retro gaming console status, it will be somewhat rare because a lot of these probably ended up in the trash. Just the nature of their resilience. Okay. There we go. Didn't bend that too much. Alright, so that is the GPU, and it's based around, my understanding at least, is that this is based around a ATI licensed design. So it's been a few days, and I got this package in the mail from someone in New York. On eBay. Yeah. Pretty well wrapped, actually. It's hard to tell where the seam is. goodness. Alright. Not sure what's so protective of capacitors being there. Okay, so these are the exact value I want. The blue ones here are the Rubicon ones, and these black ones are... Actually, what are these? 20 microfarad. So... Okay, the black ones are for replacing these guys, which I'm not going to bother with right now. Because frankly, I haven't taken any measurements on this PCB. I'm kind of doing this blind because as far as I can tell, there's no real service manuals for these. I'm going to go ahead and use some magic to replace all these parts. So I'll be back in a minute after I use my magic incantation. Trolla. All I need to do now is just clean the chips off and then clean the heat sinks off. So I got it all cleaned off, and what I ended up using is this guy, Radio Shack electronics cleaner. They used to sell this in place of, you know, if you ask for deoxit, they'd be like, oh, I got the real stuff here, but you can get this for cheaper, and it's mostly the same ingredients. Pretty nice stuff. Of course, you can't get it anymore because they're gone. So, and it also worked up to break up this stuff too. So all I need to do now is find my heatsink compound and stick these guys back on there. This is the stuff I like to use. It's called Arctic Silver MX4. I used it to fix that PlayStation 3 a while back. Should be all I need. I made a bit of a mess there, which I'll maybe not bother doing anything about. And so this guy, GPU, yeah. So this guy goes, let's see. Fans right there. Goes in like thus. And this guy goes in either way, like this, for the CPU. I'm going to flip this over, and just snap, bit of cat hair there, just snap these guys on. You just kind of, I've never done this once, but kind of just push onto them until they pop into place. I should have done this separately from the CPU. That's okay. Okay. Alright. GPU done. And then CPU. There we go. back into here like this. My cat found something to scratch on. This is really scratchy, isn't it? It powered up, which it didn't do last time. I would say op success. So I'm going to switch this guy off and finish packaging it up. So here's my as-is Black Elite Xbox next to, actually that's the Franken Xbox over there, which is what I usually play on, and another project which is the Final Fantasy Xbox. Figure out what's wrong with that one next. I thought what I'd do though is just kind of test the machine out, and to do that I have a really cool game called Katamari Damacy. And a lot of people think of the Xbox 360 as just being Call of Duty machines or Halo machines. So this particular machine was this particular game was actually exclusive on the PlayStation 2 back in the day, and when the Xbox 360 came along, it was actually exclusive on the Xbox 360. And I happen to have it. And I bought this back in the day, just after launch actually. I'm going to switch the machine back on. And it's one of those games that should work without a hard drive. I know some games like Grand Theft Auto 5, you actually have to install the entire game to the hard drive, and if you don't have one, you're kind of out of luck.